This is an avocado, and this is a podcast. That makes this an avocado podcast.
The thing that happened that changed it all was about graduation party. I was getting ready, and I was taking a lot of time. A friend of mine comes to me and he goes, Jakpo, how far now? Let more they go now. Why are you wasting time? You don't even need to waste too much time now. Like you're a good looking guy already. And then I blurt out, I beg, leave me. That's all I have going for me. And I stopped because I've never heard those words before. I've never even consciously thought those words before. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just at that point in time, I'm just like, wait a minute.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute. That is where this whole drive for a whole holistic understanding of who I am. Because I got to a point where I realized like my over-reliance on one part of my being. I wasn't even aware that I had other parts. But when I made that statement, it's like, bro, I was cold.
If you've ever wondered what self-awareness looks like, what it feels like, this preview you just listened to is it. And my guest today is brimming with self-awareness, with gratitude, with intelligence, with wisdom, elemental. Like, guys, I learned so much from this guy, and I'm so happy to bring him to you. You see, when you're doing your thing, putting out energies and intentions into the world, doing the most, you never know who's watching. You never know who's paying attention. And my guest today was paying attention. And he reached out to me randomly one morning on Instagram. And this is what he sent to me, word for word. He said, Rodney, I woke up with a strong feeling of being on the young god. We are due for a conversation. Close quote. Even the way he worded it, the energy let me know that this was something I had to take seriously, because at the time I was going through, a lot of things with work, so I wasn't really like podcasting at the time. But just the urgency with which the message came in, I knew I couldn't pass this up. And so I said, let's do it. And guys, this episode is God energy from top to bottom. It is everything. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest is Jakpo Ukweku. He's the CEO and founder of Rayven, a digital marketing agency right here in Abuja. And his name is no ordinary name. I'll let him tell it.
My full name is Jakpo and it means my life is full of joy or laughter. And I feel that's my message. I want to be a messenger.
Oh, and he's not playing. Jakpo is really here with a message. He spoke from the abundance of his heart, with conviction, with confidence, and I was just listening. You probably hear my voice like maybe 50 times in this 1 hour episode, and that's 50 out of maybe the 60 minutes he was speaking, because this is what it was. He came out here to express himself. He just had something to share, to say, and this was the space. Our conversation focused on spirituality, religion, his struggles with faith, finding himself. And you can tell from the preview that he struggles, or he shared his struggle, his past struggles with his self-image. And if you remember in episode 1, I said this would be my most vulnerable season. But not just for me, also for my guests. I mean, Jakpo left it all on the table. He had something on his mind and he needed to express it, and I am honored that he saw this platform fit to be the vehicle. This is an episode of The Ages. It's nice, it's long, and it's strong, and I can't wait for you guys to get on. Let's get it in.
Okay, let me just give you background why I wanted to have this conversation in the first place. Because I was trying to write a piece. If you truly believe, let's say for Christians, if you truly believe that you're created in the image and likeness of God, you have to start to see yourself in that capacity on some level. You have to see yourself as responsible for your words, for your actions. You have to realize that even your thoughts have consequences. You know what I mean? Because on some levels, people want to give all that burden to religion. They don't want to take responsibility for their spirituality. And that is kind of where the thought just hit me. You know what I mean? It's there's no way I feel like you can completely give back if you're not taking responsibility for what you already have. That's kind of the direction I wanted us to go. Obviously, it's casual. And I used to be very religious. And we wanted to be a priest. I went to an West Catholic school.
Oh, yeah?
We wanted to be a pastor. Then I thought, okay, I guess we can spin all these things. Because I wanted to give context. I don't want people to think I'm some kind of atheist or anything. You know what I mean? It's not like I don't believe in religion. Like, I went to a Christian school, Convent University. I wanted to be a pastor as well. Because when I found out about sex about 13, I figured like, you know what, I don't want to do without this.
Oh, jeez.
Real talk.
I love that. Yeah.
So we could put all that if you.
I've been recording since.
Oh wow.
Yes.
It's okay. So yeah.
Okay. Wow. Right. Okay. So that means you already like set this up properly for me. I mean, I think I see where we're trying to go.
Yeah. Because I felt like we have this so that you get it. Because this is a very touchy-go trouble in this part of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me as well, it's like, and I also feel this time that we're in right now with the whole pandemic and everyone having to, now it's almost like that DIY, do everything yourself kind of thing in all aspects of your life, from like your spirituality now, like because you can't go to church. Like you have to take more responsibility on some level for your spirituality. Yeah. Now you have to, if you really want to go the proper church route, the only way that was happening during the lockdown was through cyber, like internet or whatever. So it kind of made people more conscious of this whole journey.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So I feel like there's not a better time.
And that's a good point, because now that I think about it, this whole time, the burden, as you said, has been on religion. It's always been on your priest or your pastor to help you on your spiritual journey. Yeah. You know, but now that you don't have access to that, you know, congregational experience, you have to do it yourself. You have to figure out how you're going to be worshiping and interpreting these words of God without a pastor telling you what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that, actually.
You have to take responsibility for it. So I just feel like right now it's an interesting time for us to really understand like ourselves, like search deep, so to speak, because like I feel with the way the world has been for like so many years, it's like we've been so distracted and we're constantly looking for a distraction. And I think one of the greatest issues is like, it's because of how great and powerful our mind is. We're so scared to like just sit back and listen to it, because you'll be overwhelmed by the wealth of knowledge and wealth of creativity and wealth. It's overwhelming. Like when you really start to find yourself, if you aren't like really strong. And that's why like I see some people that like they lose their minds, and people think, they don't understand that sometimes it's like, it's just the how overwhelmed they are by how deep they truly are as compared to how the universe or the world is making them be. So they're struggling. They're somewhere in the middle trying to say like crazy people were one of my greatest fears as a kid. So like I'm always afraid of how irrational they are, like how they can just snap and just do whatever. I know. So for me, it's like and it kind of made me extra curious about like, what is this whole thing? Because I'm very heavy on mental health as well. And I feel like people always neglect the spiritual aspects of all these things. Because how I see it in general is like, we are, if you truly believe, we're like a 3-part being. So we have mind, body, soul, or spirit, whatever term you want to use. And we focus too much on the body. Because it's the most tangible part of our being, it's the most accessible. You know what I mean? You don't have to do anything to access your body. But with your mind and your spirit, is a more conscious decision to be in tune with those parts of your being. You know what I mean? So for me, I just always been fascinated by that interaction between all these 3 parts of our being. You know what I mean? Like the mind, body, and soul. And a lot of times it's like from the way education is and the way society is, it's like there's a lot more emphasis on your body than your mind, and then a little emphasis on your spirit.
Very little
emphasis on spirit. And it is something that I found that because of how little the emphasis is, the people that focus on it have a larger than life kind of persona. And those are the people that people start to rally around, and those are the people that form religions.
Yes. That's exactly it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it is. So if you're able to access that part of your being which you already have access to, you access it in a way, then you start to teach people how to do it.
Yeah.
You have a following. Like you can never, like it's so crazy how, and especially in parts of the world, just bring it back to modern day, parts of the world like where people are more gullible, you know what I mean, because of lack of exposure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this, in other parts of the world, people they start to understand like that, okay, apart from like there's a basic level of interaction between these three beings that can provide some level of success.
Yeah.
The West understand that. Yeah. They understand that like you can leverage the spiritual without having to actively get in there, as long as you can make your mind as productive as possible.
Yeah.
But we don't understand that. So we always skip that middle part, which I feel like the mind is kind of like the check and balance between the body and the spirit. You know what I mean? Whatever is coming goes through the mind, and there's some form of filter in terms of and what the mind ideally in my head is like a memory bank. Yeah. So whatever you put in there from your body in terms of how you want your spirit to interact with, the mind brings it into context based on your own personal experience, based on what has happened to you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why, like, a lot of times, if you're a really conscious person, you understand that you can't always trust your mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, you know what I mean? You can't always trust your mind, but you can always trust your spirit.
Yeah.
Because your spirit has a level of interaction with the universe, with the wider environment, and it sees things. That's like sometimes like your guts will tell you something, and like you're always in that situation where you say like, man, I know, and say like that you weren't meant to do this or you were meant to do. There was a time like I said when I reached out to you that morning, I like it wasn't a question of should I or should I not. It was on the question of you should. You should. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I thought to myself, it's like, guy, I can let my day go by and I'll just my mind will find a reason not to contact you. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just going to hit you up, you know what I mean? And just put it out there. Put it out there for the universe to run with it as well. You know what I mean? And I also feel as well, so when you put it out there as well, you're almost giving, it's almost like, there's some level of accountability that the universe will hold you to. Yeah. Because it's a smart, I don't know, because also as well is like one of the things I find, I don't know, I think I'm going all over the place. Am I making sense? Go ahead, man. Okay. Go ahead. So, one of the things I always think about in terms of like, spirituality and religion and everything is if you, one of the reasons why I really got to this space that I'm in terms of like, my drive for understanding religion is I went to a phase in my life that made me really have to think of my life for the first time in my life. So maybe this might help. Let me just give you a quick background about my story. So I'm from Delta State, Warri, only boy, first boy. I come from a decent family. I have like younger sisters, 3 of them. And I was always the kid that my folks were. I did very well. I did pretty well education-wise. You know, they were never really worried about. What they were worried about was the fact they couldn't read me as a kid. They couldn't place me as a good or bad kid. So it made my parents really uncomfortable in terms of not knowing what I'm thinking, not knowing what I can or cannot do. I look like a good kid, but almost too good to be true. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's almost like, what is this boy doing? Maybe we're not just seeing it, but he's definitely doing something. Yeah. So because of that, as I was shipped on like an all-boys Catholic school, you know what I mean? Wanted like discipline for me. And then I saw religion in a very interesting way. You know what I mean? It was almost like indoctrinated in me. It's like wake up in the morning, 6 a.m., go for masses. 12 o'clock, you have the Angelus. As Catholics, you pray. 6 o'clock, you have the Angelus as well. Then at some point after class, you have Rosary. You know what I mean? And then even when every single meal you pray, every single interaction is kind of like tailored towards like discipline, religion, and stuff like that. So I kind of like experienced religion from a very intense, close perspective when I was in secondary school. Yeah. But also what the school taught me was how to be stealth and how to do the things I wanted to do without being caught.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So in some ways, like, I hope my folks don't hear this. In some ways, like, what they were trying to really avoid, it kind of strengthened my ability to do and undo without being caught. Yeah. I mean, because obviously in Catholic school, like, the level of discipline is just ridiculous, my guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it kind of like molded me. Like I was saying earlier, I was like, I was fascinated by priests and the powers they kind of had. Is you see how, because I've always been a very observant kid, so I'll sit there in mass and I'll just watch the effect this one man just has on everybody. And then after church, I see how, like, because my school was in a village called Uromi. And it's in a village called Uromi still there, so Uromi. And like the parishioners would come from out of town. And like, I just watched how they're just in awe of this guy. You know what I mean? They wanted to speak to him. And then they'll have confessions, and like, they'll just always feel like after confessions, like they are unburdened by whatever sin or troubles they have, and you'll give them a penance. I just always fascinated. And I wasn't fascinated about the fact that, like, of the power itself. Like, it wasn't from a point like, oh, I would like to yield this much power, control this much power. It was more about like, I'd like to be able to like help people like this. You know what I mean? Like helped be able to lift whatever burden that they have. You know what I mean? So I was trying to get on this being a priest journey. And then I realized, I think about 13, 14, might not have lost my virginity or whatever that is. But eventually I found out about a thing called sex and priesthood, and sex don't work. So I was like, yeah.
Bye-bye priesthood.
Bye-bye priesthood. But then I thought to myself as well, it's like, I just always zoned in on Catholicism and like what it meant and how it made people feel, and like the larger than life style of the priesthood, and the fact that like there was discipline and like being, and then when I found out about the sex, it even made me respect them more. I was like, dude, but this thing's so amazing, these people are ready to give it up. In essence, to serve people, because when you go through the doctrine of priesthood, you know what I mean, you start to learn that like, by like the way it's designed is to deprive yourself of earthly enjoyment, if you want to put it that way, so that you are in a state of grace that you can help lift the burden of other people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you're in that, because if you're too caught up with the issues of the world, for instance, being married, having kids and stuff like that, you can't really deliver. You know what I mean? You can't really, And to be honest, like a lot of people don't really understand it that way. But for me, it's like I was very curious about the whole thing. So I kind of like did some extra like search on it. So after that, after I went to Lumen Christi and whatnot, and I realized that like I wasn't going to be a priest. I then thought like I wanted to be a pastor. You know what I mean? Obviously, I can get married half. But then I can still do you know what I mean, and still like help people, you know. But eventually, I went into Covenant. I didn't think I was going to go, but eventually I got in there. And Covenant is a Christian school. It was my first ever exposure to this Pentecostal life. And I remember the first time I was in church and they said, there's a guy here, there's somebody here. And like, I've never heard of that kind of thing before, when they say there's somebody here and then you just find yourself fitting that description of the person, that the priest. And it's a generic thing, you know what I mean? But maybe it wasn't me, but it struck me because you never hear that kind of thing in the Catholic Church. Yeah. It's so it was me in a space where like Christianity was more flexible. And because the man of, in Catholicism, like the priest, though he's controlling the mass, but he's being controlled by doctrines that have existed way before he was born. You know what I mean? And like the Catholic faith is a system. It's a unit. It's
very rigid system.
Very well crafted at the times for control purposes. Sad to say. You know what I mean? Sad to say. So, and then here I am now in a church where this guy's literally freestyling. You know what I mean? Like he's moving by some form of spirit, or he's saying things as he's feeling. He's standing there and he's sounding like there's someone whispering to him. I've never seen that. You know what I mean? I've never seen that till that point. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was just like, what is going on? And then he's talking and I'm like, oh my God, can he see my mind? I'm looking, he's like, how can he look it like, you know what I mean? And I remember literally crying and going up there. It was such a, I don't know, because right up to that point, it's like I'd been in school, but I hadn't been going to church. I'd been dodgy. You know, I carried the same kind of dodgy lifestyle into like coming at university. So I wasn't really, but that was my first time actually sitting in to listen to church. And it hit me. I swear, it hit me. And I cried. And I remember the next time again, he was not saying something. I went to church the next time and he was saying something again. And it's the same thing. And he was saying the third time, I was like, Jakpo, wake up. You know what I mean? It can't be you all the time. You know what I mean? No, you bad fast. Yeah, and then I remember the day that really, really changed me in terms of like my view on religion and stuff like that. Is I was sitting there and it was this pastor, I can't remember what his name, I can't remember how, but he was talking about how people from the East in the Bible wouldn't, almost talking about how the Gentiles wouldn't make heaven, like just talking about how just segregating people based on religious beliefs. And I sat down there thinking to myself, it's like, when in the scheme of like creation and life form, when was Christianity created? That it can just come at the time when it comes and just say like, anybody that doesn't believe in this is damned. And I'm just like, how about those before Christianity? Even our very Jesus wasn't Christian. He was a Jew. So how can you just come and just say like, what happens to everyone before? All the great people that have done great stuff, that have done like, why is it that because this doctrine, Christianity that we believe in, other people that don't believe in it will be damned? That thing really struck me. But then, yeah, like I think I was more caught up with other aspects of that. But like it just always, that thing just stuck. But I didn't really think about it too much. You know what I mean? But it's you know, some points that there's something that just hits your psyche. Yeah. Whether you address it or not is a different question. But you know, it leaves a mark in how you think. And then the next couple of years down the line, a lot of things that were happening within religion that just started to make me very uncomfortable. The church in general, in terms of how it almost became like a sales, marketing, a business machinery. Yeah. You know what I mean? It started to make me really uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Sitting in church, especially coming from a Catholic home, and like where things are more streamlined, things are more organized. But then I was starting to get uncomfortable with the harvest season, in like that was a different, like when they do bazaars, and my mom was heavy in that. You know what I mean? So we're getting like first-time information on numbers and transactions. I'm just like, man, normal businesses don't do this much transaction. No? You know what I mean? So it was just an interesting thing. And then so seeing the Pentecostal thing and like this harvest life that is once a while in Catholic is the daily life on the Pentecostal. Yeah.
Nicely said, yeah.
So I'm like, yo, what is this? You know, what is going on? And it just really, it kind of rubbed me off a bit strangely, you know. Plus, as well, I guess also in the back of my mind, I was looking for an excuse to just do the things I wanted to do guilt-free. So maybe subconsciously, my mind was fighting with religion, so that, because religion on some level just can just be a guilt bank. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just be a guilt bank. Just start to feel unless heavy for living in whatever context you want to put it, just living your life the way you feel is right. Yeah. But then once you now put your life against religious doctrines and then you feel like you're falling short, it kind of makes you feel uncomfortable. Yeah. So maybe at that point, I was just fighting the religion so I could just easily get on with what it was I was doing.
The stealthy Jakpo.
That guy, you know what I mean? Yeah. So maybe I felt religion was getting in my way. It was trying to like,
it was not letting you be great.
Yeah, it was just like, I'm just like, dude, man, you know what I mean? So, and I think, so I kind of didn't focus on religion in school. I just lived like I just lived. So it came to my graduation and then I'm struggling to graduate because like I haven't really been a student. I've been present but haven't been going for classes and stuff like that. And for the first time, in my life, it's like I now have to stop and think, because like, for one, it's like my parents never worried about like education for me, because I wasn't the kid that, when they were worried about me, they were more worried about, is he okay? How is his well-being? Not whether he's doing well in school or not. It was never really an issue that they would think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I guess I kind of got complacent. I don't know what it was, but however it is, it's like, I'm grateful for the experience, because it opened my eye for, and it was at that moment when I was struggling to graduate, that I had to stop for the first time and just think, you know what I mean? And just think, because right up to that point, my mom used to hit me up, and like, oh, this boy, you're too philosophical. Like, I'm not realistic. Like, I always just believe, like, people should be decent. Or my mom was just like, dude, you get burnt in life. You know what I mean? Like, she just felt like maybe I needed to have a little bit of like, a bit cynical, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just for survival's sake. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just like, oh, Jakpo, the world will eat you up if you think like this, you know what I mean? So I think maybe for the first time, I now started to really think about myself in general, about myself, not just my physical self. You know what I mean? Because my physical self was doing pretty okay. You know what I mean? And like, that wasn't the issue at all. It was just, and I remember once, and there was a thing that happened that changed it all, where it was about graduation party. I was getting ready, and I was taking a lot of time. A friend of mine comes to me and he goes, Jakpo, how far now? Let Modi go now. Why are you wasting time? You don't even need to waste too much time now. Like, you're a good looking guy already. And then I blurt out this, I beg, leave me. That's all I have going for me. And I stopped, because I've never heard those words before. I've never even consciously thought those words before. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just at that point in time, I'm just like, wait a minute.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Okay, shit. That's deep. That's something deep.
You know what I mean? That is where this whole drive for a whole holistic understanding of who I am. Because I got to a point where I realized, like, my over-reliance on one part of my being. I wasn't even aware that I had other parts. But when I made that statement, it's like,
shit.
Like, do you know what it feels like? Bro, I was cold. I remember, like, we're at the party there, I was just sitting down, and this one is even, forget my grades now. Yeah, my grades are my grades. But now it's like, who am I? Like, how can I, like, I couldn't even believe, bro, I'm like,
you're shook.
I was, bro, like, do you understand? Like, I altered those words, and the speed at which I did it, that means whatever that feeling was had been so deep in my psyche. It had been buried so deep. And then I started to trace it, and I realized that, like, I had been conforming to, like, people's idea of me. It started off like, everyone was I'm a fine boy, light-skinned guy, and stuff like that. And it just created personas around me. And I'm just like, you know, in my mind, at the time, I was like, I beg you, if that's what they think, no wala. So I was just letting it there. But unknown to me was, the more I was just ignoring it, the more I was playing that role. Do you know what I mean? I was playing that role.
You're believing it?
Yes. I wasn't fighting it, because I was like, man, anything anybody thinks, I don't give a flip, you know what I mean? It's like, I know I'm not that guy. But then, at the point when I made that statement, I realized, like, I had become that guy. You know what I mean? Consciously, like, subconsciously, I had become that guy. Maybe on the surface, it looks like in my mind, I was a bit woke or something. But I was just like, bro, you don't even know anything. You don't even know you. How can you do anything? You know what I mean? So, because of that, I became super curious. I wanted to learn. I wanted to know. I made a decision that day. I would never feel this lonely again about myself. And that is what has driven me. It's like, I'm not driven by money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like money. I like the good things. But what drives me is that, like, drive to prove to myself that, like, there's more to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Than how I look, than what I have.
Yeah.
How I sound. All those tangible things that, like, the world tends to, like, use as yardsticks to judge how well we're doing. Or no, for me, it's more about, like, leaving some form of mark, something that I will be remembered for. that would outlive, because you know what, when I started to think about it, it's like when you think about like the people you truly love, you never see them when in your thoughts. What you do is you feel them. Like you feel them, because like when you love something or you love someone, is the physical appearance doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
The person becomes faceless.
Yeah.
It's now a feeling. When you think about it, it's a feeling. When you think about your family, your loved ones, you can't really picture their faces if you're being honest.
Yeah.
It's a feeling. You know what I mean?
The idea of them.
It's the idea of them. You know what I mean? And then I was just like, so this physical form that I have been boxed into, not just by society, but by me allowing society box me into, is not tangible. It's not long lasting. You know what I mean? And then I started to think about, like, if truly I believe that I'm a child of God creating His own image and likeness, then who am I? I can't just be this.
Yeah.
There has to be more to me. So I went in search of knowledge. And one of the first things for a person that has lost, one of the easiest things to hold on to is religion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is it, yeah.
It's religion. And I got so intense in religion. I used to go to church like 3 times a week. I used to read my Bible. I used to pray. I even used to preach, surprisingly. And I remember, like, all my friends were so surprised. I feel like the transition was a real transition, you know what I mean? Even my mom. Obviously, my mom has always been concerned about, like, my mental state. Because, like, I think she's always wanted to read me as much as she could. Yeah. And I don't know if I've really given her
the opportunity. Yeah. That satisfaction.
Yeah. Yeah. But generally, like, I don't think I'm the easiest person to read. It's like if you don't have one-on-ones with me, it's so easy to have misconceptions about me. Yeah. So I guess that's even from my childhood. That was one of the reasons why my parents always wanted to take me to more controlled environments, because they felt like, okay, even if we don't know what he can do, there are just limits to what he can do. Yeah. Because of the environment he's in. So yeah, the whole journey with, like, spirituality, first of all, it wasn't about anything in particular. It was just a quest to know that started it all. I just wanted to know. I wasn't reading books at the time, and then it's just funny how I realized once you make a decision, is the universe conforms. The universe started to bring people to me. I remember I met a friend of mine. She probably doesn't even know the impact she had in my life. So I met her when I was just transitioning into the phase where I'm trying to, and then we had a conversation once, and this was the point when I had so many questions. So, like, most of my conversations were question driven, and then so we're having a conversation. She just looks at me, she's like, "Do you read?" I was like, "Man, I don't really read. I don't even like to read my books." And she goes like, "You have a mind of someone that reads." And I'm like, she's like, "Maybe you should read." And I was like, "Okay, what do you think I should read?" And then she said, "There's a book I want you to read, but not just yet." Like, not just yet. But I'm going to give you a couple of books. I was like, but before she was doing that, like, another cousin of mine became close, and he gave me a book called Emotional Intelligence. And that book kind of made me numb-ish. You know what I mean? Because it was just talking about how to literally let your emotion take the back seat. And it's something that I never really had a problem with, to be honest. Like, I could detach myself. But then, now I was understanding it from a deeper perspective.
Like, why it's necessary.
So there's a bit more deliberate. And because of how deliberate it was, it could have come off as cold. But the luck I had at the time was I then started being religious as well. You know what I mean? So there was a religious dumbing down of that. Okay. So the fact that I was trying to be religious as well, reading my Bible, I was heavy on, like, Proverbs, because, like, it was just, like, wisdom based. I was obsessed with, like, wisdom based and quotes and stuff like that. So yeah, and then after I read that book, so the friend that I met, she gave me a book called "Don't Sweat the Small Stuff." it's all small stuff. You know what I mean? Because then I think she could tell like I was restless. Like, you know what I mean? Just had too many questions. Still trying to find myself. You know what I mean? She saw through me.
Like your mom.
Yeah, she saw through me. She saw through me.
Yeah.
She I felt like she was God sent, I swear. She saw through me. So she gave me that book, she gave me another book. But the book she wanted me to read was Conversations with God by Donald, Walsh. And that book changed my life.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I remember once, like, I got so addicted to the book. I remember the first time I was reading it, I was working. And I was on open office. And like, I couldn't openly read it during work hours. Yeah. And I'll just go to the toilet to read it. And I remember one time I was sitting in the toilet and then there was a line, I can't remember how it goes. It's like, if you're reading this right now, it's because of some questions that you had. I almost fainted. I literally almost fainted in the toilet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It hit me.
Like I was speaking to you directly.
Oh my Lord. It hit me like, I'm just like, yo. And because of how I'd gotten to the point that like I was really not paying too much. I wasn't paying too much attention to my physical side, but I was paying attention to like other sides of me. So things like I was more in tune to pick up on those kind of things more. You know what I mean? I was more alert in that regard. Like maybe if it was the old me, I was like, what's only me? You know what I mean? But that me at that time that read that book and read that line at that very exact moment, it just, I remember sitting down, like my hairs literally stood on my body. I'm not hairy at all, so it's not from a lot of hairstyle.
I can tell you how it feels.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, like, so I started to read that book, but then it's like, what Donald Walsh was trying to say is that, like, and that brings us to what we're really talking about in terms of like religion versus spirituality. One of the things that really struck me was he was talking about the 10 Commandments and talking about free will and stuff like that. And there was a gist about like, okay, so if you really have free will, how can you have 10 Commandments? You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, how can you have free will and still have things you have to? Yeah. But then he breaks it down and says like, it's not even about, you're looking at it wrongly. It's not even 10 commandments that you must obey to God. You know, in all reality, it is 10 commitments you would make to yourself, because if you want your better self, it's like most of those things on that commandment list you wouldn't do. Yeah. Because if you understand the law of karma and the law of like energy and consequences and stuff like that, you realize that like in all honesty, it's like these are not particularly commandments. It's almost like on some level spiritual laws that would help you.
Exactly, common sense. Thou should not kill.
Like, yeah, you know what I mean?
Straight up.
Yeah, because in essence we are part of a whole. And if you start to look at yourself in isolation to the rest of the world, you're missing out. You're not. That's why when you talk about the 10 commitments, it's not about the benefit it has to you just directly. If you realize that you're part of the whole, you understand that like these 10 commitments to not just you, but to society and everything around you is for your own good, because you are part of this whole system. Yeah. You're not in isolation. Like, don't think that like, the consequences of your actions are just for you. No. They're not for you. It's like your actions would affect the lives of so many other people. You might not see it directly, but it would.
You know, and when you say it like that, right, you look at some of the first 3 or 4 laws, particularly the one that says, thou shalt not commit adultery. If you look at it as a singular commandment, it seems, they're saying, we should not enjoy ourselves, we should not do that. But when you think about it from what you just said now, it's like, it doesn't just affect you.
It's not about you.
Yeah,
it's not about you. It's about like realizing that like you are part of a wider, a more bigger thing. You know what I mean? So first of all, it's like, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't sell yourself too short. Yeah. Because you're equally as important as you are unimportant. Yeah.
It's weird, right? Trying to like make sense of that.
You're equally as important as you're unimportant, because at the end of the day, it's like, you drop today, life goes on. Yeah. And then it's like, and also as well, what you're thinking about life in terms of time and space are constructs for your physical being. Yeah. Your spirit is not. doesn't conform.
Transcends it, yeah.
Doesn't conform to time, man. Like that's why some other religions will believe in like reincarnation and whatnot. You know what I mean? Depends on how deep you want to think about it. But you have to believe that, like, dude, the first time you existed is not in this human form.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is not the last you exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So basically, what I feel, so what that book really just opened my mind to is the fact that, like, we started to, like, pay too much attention to a means, yeah, and forgetting that it's just a means, not the end itself.
Yeah.
Spirituality is supposed to be like religion is supposed to be like a gateway to spirituality, not spirituality itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you over focus on the means, it's very easy for you to lose the plot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You start to forget why you're doing something and you're focusing on what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like let's just use bodybuilding for instance. It's like you're building to get fit. Yeah. And then you now start to neglect the fitness part, and then you're now so focused on the bodybuilding that you're not even realizing that, like, now you're building in a way that you're probably endangering yourself. Because now you're not even looking at the end goal again. You're just so hell-bent, you're just so caught up in the process that, like, you are forgetting that this is just a journey that you're on. I mean, you're just so caught up, and you just want to, you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, one of the things I've started, that it all made me start to think about is, in terms of, let me even just understand what this end journey is. You know what I mean? I remember reading something and they said, like, the essence of life is to, so basically, this whole human experience is to remember, or some level rejoin. So basically, remember or rejoin, however you want to look at it, is being able to, through your life experiences, and like the universe will present you with different moments that would shed light on what your true essence is. If you're and the whole aim of this your life experience is to be conscious enough and be present enough in all these experiences that at the end of the day, all these experiences that you embark would help you remember that you are truly part of the whole. You don't exist in isolation. Like, there are so many different experiences in your life that if when you start to look back at them, you start to see, they always have a way of bringing you down to earth, reminding you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because even the good and the bad is never in isolation.
Yeah.
When you're getting, like, credits for great things done, it's never because you did great things that just have benefited you. It's because you did great things that benefited the world. You know what I mean? No one will give you an award for making a pair of shoes for yourself.
Yeah. True.
But you can get an award for best designer when you make shoes that millions of people key into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you start to realize, when you start to look at things, and like all these things, they sound really trivial, but if you look at it in a deeper context, you realize that, like, man, it's not.
It's always the trivial things.
Yes. It's all those
that hold the biggest weight.
Because let me tell you what it is like foundation. You know what I mean? It's the least pretty part of construction.
Yeah.
But it's literally the most effective. It's on the ground, it's solid.
It's hidden.
You can't really see it.
Yeah.
But it's the bedrock of whatever it is.
It's like breathing. Breathing is so automatic, you forget it happens. But you forget that breathing is life. You know? So now the idea is to become more mindful of your breathing. That's why we have, like, mindfulness and all these things, meditation. Yeah. To remember to breathe.
To be conscious while you breathe.
To really take in like the air properly.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for me is how I started to see religion based on all these things is it made me super curious about religion itself. In as much as I realized the end goal being spirituality. And I started to, like, okay, let me just try and understand the journey part of it, the process of achieving spirituality. Yeah. And then it took me back again when I told you that I was in church in Covenant, and then the pastor said that non-Christians will literally go to hell. Yeah. And then I remember, like, I became friends with a Muslim family, and, like, literally they were like the best human beings one of the best human beings I've ever met. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I remember one day going home from their house, I'm just thinking, and I just remember what that guy said about, like, literally these people going to hell because they don't believe in
Jesus, yeah.
in Jesus. And I'm just like, God, is this really possible? Can these people this good, like literally good people? Like the love they showed me, they even care whether I was Christian or not, like the way they embraced me. And I'm like, it can't be. Like, it can't, like, your religious beliefs cannot be a death sentence. You know what I mean? It can't just be because, like, you're born into a religion, you believe one thing. It can't just, it can't be.
Especially because it's like a lottery.
Yeah.
You don't decide what religion you get into. So how can God punish you for that?
I was like, it definitely can't be. Like, no, Jakpo, no. Got curious, you know what I mean? Started to like read up on religion.
Yeah.
And like so many different. And then when you start to find, it's like all these religions have similar stories, similar backbone stories. The amount of religions that have the same tenet as Christianity, you'll be surprised. The amount of religions that have, especially like ancient Egyptian religions that have the story of the Messiah being born to a virgin woman. It's at least 5 to 6.
Yeah.
At least. And this is, I'm just putting it, I don't want to say numbers that I'm not sure, but I know at least 6.
Yeah.
At least. It's so interesting. Like, people are very skeptical about Islam, but funny enough, like, Islam is more accepting of Jews and Christians as real religions than Christians and Jews are accepting of Islam.
That is fact, yeah.
You know what I mean? Islam believes that Jesus Christ is a prophet. And they still believe in his immaculate conception as well. They believe he was born like Mary was a virgin. They believe that. But what they don't believe is that Jesus is the Son of God.
Right.
They believe that Jesus is a prophet. And they say, when Jesus said, there's someone after me, that is Muhammad. But Christians believe it's the Holy Spirit.
You've done your homework, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was fascinated by religion. Like I like the Eastern religions fascinate me as well, because Eastern religions are centered around enlightenment. And that's what when I was saying earlier about how how people tend to rally around people that find some level of enlightenment.
Yeah.
That's how like Buddha.
Cool, yeah. Even Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Jesus was fucking enlightened for his time.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
He knew things.
Yeah, even John the Baptist. You know what I mean? And Christianity is and another thing that makes me laugh as well is like when you get into conversations of people talking about how Christianity is they try to make Christianity sound like the most innocent of religion. Like, because like making it seem like Islam is very bad because of the bloodshed. And I tell you, do your homework. If you know the blood has been shed in the name of Christianity,
oh man,
you just shut up.
Oh,
you know what I mean? You shut up. You know what I mean? You shut up. Like
the oppression.
Like no other religion. Like it will take a while for Islam to catch up.
Actually,
because Christianity was, especially like when Constantine made it like the official Roman Empire religion, it had to be enforced. You know what I mean? It had to be, and even within religion, even within Christianity as well, before Pentecostals were able to practice, they were dying for their faith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They were dying for their faith. But you know what is so interesting when you really look at this thing is one of the greatest issues that Christianity had at the time was the fact that Christianity wanted to control information.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That was one of their greatest obsessions. And this is the reason why because when they say knowledge is power, it's no joke.
Yeah.
But not knowledge in itself is
the truth.
Yeah, no, but see, it's one thing to know something, yeah, but if you don't apply it, it's not the most productive thing in the world.
Okay, yeah.
So it's knowledge, and that's why there's this trilogy that always play hand in hand: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom.
Yeah.
I mean, knowledge is the know-how, and wisdom is the understanding, the why. I mean, understanding is like knowing how everything comes together. Then wisdom is the ability to know how
to deploy it.
Finish. You know what I mean? So, and it's, in as much as there was no guarantee that the people will apply this wisdom, but what they found is like the people will be less controllable.
If they know.
So like in the early days, it's like the scripture was in Latin. You know what I mean? And it was only the elites that could read it. And that kind of gave them some form of like clout over the common man, made the common man more controllable, and gave the elite larger than life character. And that's why then priests were doubling as rulers, spiritual rulers and physical rulers as well.
That's why the Pope had so much power.
Yeah, oof. Man,
the Pope was running things.
He was running things now. Like wars were fought. Even like King Henry VIII had to like break because he wanted to marry another woman. Yeah, it's like Pope. You know what I mean? I ain't messing with you again if you don't want me to. You know what I mean? So, and so what I'm just saying, in essence, is like if you understand what I'm really trying to say is like the focus shouldn't be on all this on religion per se, because religion is man-made. Yeah. I mean, because even Jesus Christ, like let's be like the Christianity that we know today did not happen 10 years after Jesus Christ died. Yeah. It didn't happen. It happened years and years. The organized religion that we know today did not happen. The greatest conveyor of the Christian faith never met Jesus face to face. Apostle Paul. Yeah. He wrote so many books of the Bible, but he never met Jesus face to face. A lot of the books that were written in the Bible, a lot of the books that made it to the Bible was specially chosen in terms of the way they wanted the Christian faith to be communicated. The modern Christian faith, it was carefully picked.
They had hundreds of years to prepare. How they wanted to run religion.
Because at the end of the day, it's like it was getting so popular, and Constantine just thought about it. And his mom was a devout Christ follower. She was like really, So, and they started to convert all around the Roman Empire. Started to convert all the temples to, you know what I mean, to consolidate it. Because the thing about the Romans learned really early was for them to be able to control, for the strength of their empire, they had to be a unique voice, a unique communication, it had to be one voice. You know what I mean? At first they were allowing like everyone practice their own religion. You know what I mean? But then when they conquer you, they will allow you, like initially the Jews were doing their thing. Everyone was Jews, even Jesus Christ. The Romans, they didn't want to get involved with the fight between the Jews and Jesus Christ and his new message that time. That's why, what's the name of
Pontius Pilate?
Yeah. He washed his hand. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's like, I don't see what is happening here. Like, okay, if you guys really want to kill him, my hand and my leg no day.
Yeah, as I see this guy, you don't get problem.
You don't get problem.
If you guys want to kill
him. Yeah. And it's so interesting about like I remember I was watching something and they were talking about how Jesus Christ, and what people don't, what you have to understand about religion is like an idea that can, once it starts to germinate, there's nothing you can do about it. And every religion or something, they have a platform or a moment where everything starts to tip. There's a book I read by Malcolm Gladwell that talks about tipping point. Tipping point is the point where the water starts to fall. There's nothing you can do about it. And for Christianity, that moment was the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That was the moment that Christianity, the Jesus story, exploded. Even if you read the Bible and you look at the stories, the Jews, there was a prophecy already to raise on the third day. That's why they sent Roman soldiers to block the tomb, because they didn't want a situation where either by divine thing or the followers of Jesus would make this thing look like it. They tried to stop because they knew that if this thing happens like this,
it's finished.
Wildfire. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's so like if you look deep, every religion has that platform moment where everything starts to tip. You know what I mean? So that what that kind of tells you at the essence is, for me, what I deduce from that is it's deeper than that particular idea expanding or evolving. You know what I mean? It's deeper than that. Because at every point in time, there's a potential for one new idea to tip. But what is remaining constant is the power of the universe, or this ultimate being, regardless of how every religion has decided to make their own story tip. Something still come back to the fact that like there's something, even when science is trying to explain the creation story, you know what I mean, is people will say Christianity will explain the why, science is just explaining the how. It's like when they say Jesus, let there be light and like everything happened. All these things could have happened in a split second, but like what science is telling you in terms of it forming physically is the Big Bang that happened. But what Christianity is saying is, the Big Bang is, because the creationist story from the Bible is...
I think the Big Bang is more like scientists trying to explain in an instant what happened.
Yeah.
But then the creation story is trying to tell you what the details of a Big Bang entail in terms of
what in a more holistic sense.
Yeah.
Not zooming into each process.
Yeah.
I mean, because like science is trying to zoom into each process, trying to explain each little detail. But what the creation story is trying to explain to you is like, okay, forget about these little details. This is a holistic picture of this is what this supernatural being, God,
intended.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's like, it's just for me, everyone is just fighting a battle that doesn't really make any sense. If you're trying to fight, scientists trying to fight Christians trying to fight Muslims trying to fight. At the end of the day, we all belong. We're all the same people. We're all the same. And then I felt also as well, it's like, one of the things that spirituality, Christianity or religions are is, it's almost like people with common fears coming together to find a way to address these fears, to have answers. So like, one of the greatest things that made all those early Christianity a bang as well is what happens after life. Other religions have been struggling with that answer for a while. And Christians were the first one, like one of the first monotheistic religions that came up with like life after death, the heaven-hell concepts.
Yeah.
I mean, ancient Egyptian religions, you see when they create tombs and they'll do paintings and like they'll tell you this one will move through these dragons to get to there was just so many, but Christianity gave it a more do and don't, heaven or hell. I mean, it was a more straightforward concept.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you finally assimilate it. By the time it was tough too, because like people used to, because if you go to countries like, places like India, it's even like Hindus, like they have bare gods. So many different gods for so many different things.
God of corn.
So many different things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
God of cow.
so
yeah.
In essence, what it really is it's just everyone just trying to find a story that helps calm their fears. That's why you see people move from religion to religion, because first of all, you can be Christian and like this Christian story suits where you want to live. It's nice, it's jolly. Then there's a point where it's no longer giving you answers. You now search, because even within churches, you especially in this Nigeria now, where religion and miracles are now like almost synonymous. So people are constantly looking for the next miracle-based church. Yeah. So they're looking for church. Because the thing about that kind of stuff is, this kind of people will never find church. This search will continue because what they're looking for is the wrong thing.
Yeah, and it's not within them.
Yeah, it's not.
They're looking for someone to wow them.
Yeah, no, but everything they need is within. Like every single, and that's why one of the things I really found fascinating about like your approach, the young God, like I feel like you truly grasp the fact that like in your own right, you know what I mean? Like you are creative. You're a creative force. You know what I mean? And then we it's just because of it's almost for lack of better word, it's just laziness that make us relinquish that power to other people. Or let religion be the sole guide of it's laziness, because you don't want to truly harness all these things that you have already. You know what I mean? So you're looking up to someone that's been able to do it. Because you can't knock the fact that religious leaders are usually very enlightened. because you can't obviously lead people in that way without being enlightened.
Without knowing things.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And it's not enlightened from a knowledge or based perspective. It's from a spiritual perspective. Even if you want to think about the dark arts or whatever you want to call anything, it's always a sense of understanding the power of your mind and your spirit and the creative force that it has. So they are able to wield these powers, and then they show you, and it's like magic. And they're not telling, like, you know what? If you pay your tithe, you can access this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you come to church every Sunday, you can access this. Small, every day.
We'll just be giving you those. Just, you know what I mean? But then, what I say is, like, you don't need to go to church because you already have access to it. You know what I mean?
You know, as you said, people go to church because they're looking for something. They're lost or they're looking for something. You know, and I always say that I don't go to church for the same reason I don't go to the hospital when I'm healthy. I feel like I have a relationship with God that gets me through the day. I don't need anyone to tell me what I already know about myself and about my own values when it comes to God and maybe the Bible. Like, I've read the Bible, like, just like you, I've done my reading. I know exactly what I've taken that makes sense to me and the ones that I'll leave behind. You know?
Because even the Bible tells you you have to question. You have to question, because and I love how you said that, because it's you have to internalize it. You have to internalize it, because let me tell you what it is. It's like your eyesight. There's no two set of human beings that have identical eyesight. No, it's not about, like, the colors you see, the shades you see, we both see it differently. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, you can't just take everything. Like, so for instance, now I'll tell you how I see when I listen to preachers, is what I take from them is, oh, this is an interesting perspective to this thing, but then me, I find my own perspective. If it aligns, it aligns. It's possible for it to align, but I wouldn't just take it
just because they said
as fact, because, you know what I mean? Because obviously me, I can do my own reading too now. You know what I mean? Me, I can read now, and I can even preach. You know what I mean? If I package, like, what I've read well enough, and, like, I say it and I give it a good story. Because at the end of the day, see, if you really follow religion and Christianity and the way it was, is it's because of the way society now is. That back in the day, is because of, like, how limited the amount of different the human activities were. You know what I mean? Is there was a very strong tie between religion and state. It was hard to shake off religion from state. You know what I mean? Religion was governing state activities.
The church was governing state.
Pretty much. So what happened? Just that now is there's a lot more activities. You know what I mean? A lot more things that separate religion from state. You know what I mean? So religion right now is, in as much as it's still powerful, but it's not as, it's more manipulative now, because back then it's like people were more curious. You know what I mean? People more curious, because I'm telling you, if the way the world is now, if the Bible was in Latin and they said only a few people could read it, people would be very comfortable just being told what the Bible is. You know what I mean? But back then it was different, because it's sometimes the more you know, or the more you think you know, will most likely hinder how much you will eventually know. Because there's some complacency that comes with an alleged belief of the knowledge base you have. You know what I mean? You feel you know too much, you don't need to know more. That's what happened to us, because a lot of the questions that we think that we have been answered. So we don't understand that, like, it's not like the way it has been answered in that time was time based. It was based on time,
on the context of the culture.
Like, you have to. It's constantly changing. Like, if you want to read the Bible or read all these religious books as a fact-based thing, you lose the point, because let me tell you, most of the stories, even in terms of, like, the way the stories were written, it's not literal. Religious books are not literal. It's not like, say, oh, an eye for an eye. You know what I mean? It's there are deeper meanings that, like, would resonate with every individual differently.
Or turn the other cheek.
You know what I mean? It resonate with individuals differently. You know what I mean? And then you have to learn that, like, at some point, you have to take responsibility.
For what you understand.
Yeah, you have to take responsibility. Like it's not anyone's. It's nothing more dangerous than a closed spirit. Nothing goes in, nothing comes out.
Yeah.
Nothing goes in, nothing comes out. The most interesting thing about this all, the most mature part of you is your spirit. It's the oldest part of you.
Yeah.
The other parts of your being are a function of this lifetime. My confidence and my self-belief isn't in anything that I am physically.
Bro, in the spirit. Once you think like this,
Yeah.
nothing, life is nothing again.
Bro, see,
Bro.
as I did like this, I'm that guy that you have as a friend that you can take me to any kind of space. Take me to the slums. I'll blend. Take me to the elite, the cream de la cream, I will. Because for me, I'm not a function of either of these spaces that we just mentioned. You know what I mean? I'm not, that's not, like, I remember one time, someone was asking me that like, why is it that, like, I just always feel comfortable anyway? I say, first of all, let me just tell you one thing that I really believe. I believe I'm a child of God. And I believe the universe, the world, is my father's house. So I don't see why I'd be uncomfortable in my father's house. You know what I mean? I don't see why I'd be uncomfortable in my father's house.
And bro, what you just described is called self-possession. Self-possession is the state of mind where you have like gotten over the need for using self-esteem. You know what self-esteem is actually when you base your sense of self on other people's opinion of you.
Yeah.
So basically, with every compliment or every insult, your self-esteem is regulated based on that.
Oh, do you know what? It's so funny that like I was reading something recently. It was talking about how like you shouldn't be regulated by compliments or criticism. Like if you let every single thing that anybody says affect you and your sense of self, yeah, you'll be torn in so many pieces before you know what's happening, because every single person has a unique perspective on things. And you might fall on either side of their perspective. You might fall on the good side or the bad side. So it's not a function of you. That's what you have to learn. People's perspective on you, off you, it's not about you. It's perception. You know what they say, perception governs reality.
Yeah.
And when they say it, like, it sounds like, but what it is like, it's not like perception governs reality, because perception is how reality is viewed.
Yeah.
It's like the lens through which reality is viewed. So all of a sudden now, what happens is there's nothing like reality, if you ask me. There's not a general consensus on what reality is. Everybody's reality is different. Every single individual's reality is different. Do you know how crazy it is? Like like twins that come out from the same womb, literally almost the same time, and they don't even think alike. They don't even view the world the same way. But do you know what it is? Do you know why we think that the same? It's society. Society is that construct that we find a collective, an average of everybody's voice, and create a voice that is conducive to speak. That's why if you see, like, society has been evolving over time with, like, our sense of what reality is and what is important is changing. Even between since the whole corona thing happened and the lockdown, is like, we're having a shift in terms of what is more important to us. I mean, the things that, like, we used to hold dear, like, it's time to change. What is more important now? It's like, you know what I mean? And then that's what they'll tell you. It's like, dude, society is never going to be the same. People say, oh, I can't wait for it to get back to normal, man. There's no normal. You know what I mean? There's no normal. As long as there's free will, there's no normal. There's no, like, it can't, there's nothing like, I don't believe in when they say, oh, this one is not normal, this one is crazy. I remember I read a book once called, I think it was Paulo Coelho, Veronica Wants to Die. But basically, we're just talking about how she was so depressed. And then it boiled down to Veronica's inability to express herself. And while she was struggling, she was trying to express herself within the constructs of society. but she's not.
She's not like that.
She's not a function of society. Like, and she had to learn to, like, everybody. I think everybody has to learn that, like, you're not like a function of society. You know what I mean? It's like, on the other hand, society is a function of you as part of a collective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. A lot of things are happening because a lot of people are agreeing with it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That is why it is what it is. But a lot of people don't even know that they are part of it too. They don't know.
They don't know.
They don't know. And that's why they don't know that they have a say in it. They don't know that they have a say in it. One of the things that tries to, like, express people's say in things is democracy. But it's flawed because of the human construct involved.
Yes.
Democracy is used in a sense that it is used to control the people that do not understand deeper workings of things, to conform to a particular idea and make it their idea. But it's not necessarily the idea, because at the end of the day, it's like when you're between parties that you don't really trying to pick between two parties that you don't really believe in any of them. You know what I mean? So you're being forced to conform to one or the other.
Like, either way, you lose.
Yeah. So I felt like one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation with you is one of the things that's really been, like, hitting me now is, like, I feel like it's time for us to, like, skip all these physical constructs. You know what I mean? Let's skip that. I mean, let's strip everything down to reality in terms of your own reality. Stop trying to, like, create a general reality. You know what I mean? Fix your own ship first. Yeah?
Yeah.
Fix your own ship first now. And then, trust me, just imagine if everybody was thinking right, everyone was happy within themselves. How would this world be?
Bro, that is the question.
I'm telling you, how would this world be? Because I was reading something that made me feel, it's like, sometimes you see some people have a go at you. I feel sorry for them because I know there's pain in there. There's so much pain, like, and this manifestation that is happening is not a function of me. I just happen to be a canvas that you can express this pain at this point in time. But at the same time, it's like, the issue isn't even the canvas right now. It's the paint. And what are you trying to paint? You're trying to paint it's a call for help. People lash out. Like, teenagers lash out because they want to be heard. They feel they're not understood. That's why they lash out. You know what I mean? And, like, people still, because they don't have, and because they fear that, like, that is the only way we can get. You know what I mean? Like, even sometimes think politicians, and, like, if you really know, like, on some of you won't feel sorry for them as well, because it's like, for you to feel that you need to steal this much money, I feel bad for you, bro.
Yeah.
I feel bad for you. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like right now it's like, the question it's not about, brother, yeah? It's not about trying to fix the world right now. This whole thing that has happened has forced us to look inward. And it's continuously forcing us. That's why, like, it feels like it doesn't want to end, because, like, we don't want to get what we're meant to get from this moment. It's forcing us to stay fucking, put.
Bro.
Stay put. You know what I mean? Stay put and listen. Because, guy, the issues that you're looking for, the answers can only be addressed from the inside out, not the outside in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about what you're...
And the energy just starts from there.
Yes, and from there it would.
Yeah, because when you're trying to do best for yourself, it means that by proxy, you're doing better for others. The people that you fuck with, you work with, you love, guy, like, you can get away with anything in this world as far as if your head is right.
Bro, see.
Like, there's no such thing as a toxic relationship or toxic friendship, or, there's no, like, you attract what you are.
Yeah.
You think about when you start making, these changes in your life, how that amazing girl came.
Yeah.
I swear to God, guy, it happens like that. When I start getting my shit together, all kinds of people that are like we're on that same journey, or we're just coming my way.
Bro, see, the thing about it is, the beautiful thing about it is, what I appreciate what you're doing is, people need to have more conscious conversation. And I'll tell you this is, the world is very favorable to some set of people right now. The set of people that have reached enlightenment and have refused to use it for mankind, but instead they've decided to use it to enrich themselves. So what is perfect for them? And this world, and like, it's not even like it's today. That is why from the onset is religious leaders have always tried to hoard information. They've always tried to hoard information in terms of not letting everybody have access. Because if everyone has access, there won't be any segregation. And segregation is what gives them the ability to amass so much power. Because that's why I say the focus should be spiritual. Because one of the reasons why the world is like this before is because we are all, there's so many different things that are trying to divide us because we're focusing on those things. So there's religion, there's tribe, there's race, even within tribe. There's different like cults within cults. Oh, there's Man U fans, there's Chelsea fans. There's even between Man U fans, there's the people that like Martial, and people that don't like Martial. You know what I mean? So it makes us more controllable. It makes, from a commercial perspective, it gives the people selling stuff to us an opportunity to sell a variety of things.
You know what, guy?
We live in a world where money has taken over, and the drive to make money has taken over. So when people are looking at doing stuff, they're not looking at how much substance or what value is it. It's how much is it going to fetch me. You know what I mean? Even when the governments are investing on what they're investing on, some governments don't even invest because they want money. They want to pocket all the money as well. So basically what is happening right now is everybody is just, we're just moving like headless chickens right now. And what I think this period is trying to do for us is trying to help put our head back on our heads. Just like, just stop. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah,
Just
I get
stop.
what you mean.
Let me just put this, no, I need to go outside. That's why we just stop. Like, if I put this thing on you, you'd see.
Yeah.
But like, no. You know what I mean?
I get it, yeah.
And that's why I felt like, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you, because I felt like the only way you can stop like that is when you realize that you are the God CEO of your life. And you are part of a wider story. And what the universe is trying to do right now is say, King, here's your crown. You know what I mean? Forget all these things you're running outside to do. You know what I mean? Forget all these things. Like, build your castle. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let the next man build this castle. Yeah. Let the next man build this castle. And let each castle trade and flourish. Because if each castle is good and each castle doesn't need to destroy the other to flourish, everything will be intact. Everything will be intact. We'd realize that like everything we need is within our castle, like every single thing we need to survive. But there was a time where the world was surviving based on trade and barter. Do you know how amazing that was? It's like, guy, you have a glass of water? Oh, I want tea. I have tea. Okay, yeah, here's a glass of water. Give me tea. It's because everyone was sufficient enough to know that, like, if I give him a glass of water, it doesn't mean I won't still have water. But then I can have tea that I don't have. So it was the way it is, and that's the thing about karma, is it's a give and take. Is affluence is flow. And flow is not one direction. Flow is the giving and the taking.
Yeah. Giving and taking,
The giving and the taking. It's not that karma is not just about dishing out, and it's about receiving as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So right now is we need to just stop. That's what it's trying to get us to do. Stop. And just put on your crown. Accept that you are amazing and start to manifest from that perspective. When you start to manifest from that perspective, it's like you're not caught up with all these things, because then you realize that it's literally like you wear glasses, yeah, sometimes, yeah. It's like, you know what it's like when there's a small smog on your glass. Like if you don't realize that like it's on there, you can be saying, what's happening here? But then the moment you take off your glasses and you clean it, and you put it back on, and you're like, oh shit, this place is bright. That's what's supposed to happen right now. There's a problem with our lenses. It's stained, it's tinted.
From so much continuous
yes. So now it's like, dude, stop and clean it.
Yeah.
Let your perspective change. Your reality will change.
Yeah. It's only fair, I guess, because if something like this can happen on a personal level in anybody's life, then why not? Why not the whole world itself? So imagine like the entire world going through like a bad year. The same way one person could just have a bad year where they maybe lost their job, then lost their boyfriend.
Then define themselves.
Yeah. Through that.
Yes.
So this is what the world is going through as a whole right now.
The world should be taken out of it. But the fact is that like everyone doesn't want to just accept the fact that first of all, like we have to deal with it personally, and we have to understand that like personally means also dealing with it collectively.
Collectively, yeah.
Because what is happening is like you deal with it personally and it flows out and then affects the collective. That's what's gonna happen. Like I feel like if everyone just has to realize like, guy, like you are enough. You have enough. You know what I mean? And from there, you interact with people in that same way. And the next man feels that way, interacts with the next man the same way. You know what I mean? Everyone is not trying to hoard resources. Everyone is not trying to like grapple and just hide and just stalk. You know what I mean? Everyone is not trying to exploit. Like everything will be smoother. I think so. I truly believe so. Everything will be smoother. Like conversations will be smoother. You know what I mean? It was smoother. Because you have to go within. Like you have to search deep. And for me it's not about the religious tenets or stuff like that. It's more about the spiritual elements. It's understanding like you're a 3-part being, and the singular, if you're going to say most important part of your being, is your spirit or your soul. If you're going to say the one that is more important. But the thing about it is like you are a unique hybrid, that every single part of your being is important in its own way. For you to be able to manifest your spirit, you need... let me tell you this analogy that... So how I see the whole human experience is you're on a journey. There's a car, there's a passenger, and there's a driver. The car is your body. The driver is your mind. The passenger is your soul. So don't let your mind drive your body with your soul in it astray. Because at the end of the day, the destination is for the passenger, not for the driver or the car.
And the passenger is who again?
The passenger is your soul.
Is the soul, yeah.
Your body is the car. Your mind is the driver. Your mind is the one that interprets what the body does.
That is it.
But the soul,
that's a good one,
is the passenger. Now where the soul won't go? Last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The driver might be... Also, you have to take care of every other thing. You have to make sure the body's intact. It's in tip-top shape, because it's a long journey, my brother.
Yeah, oh man.
You know what I mean?
Long journey, yeah.
So the mind has to be awake. He has to be alert. He has to keep his eyes on the road.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he has to be attentive to the passenger, because it's the passenger that knows where they're going.
The direction.
He's the one that knows. So the driver and the car can be doing this thing, but they'll end up in the wrong place. And who will suffer? The passenger. The passenger. Because at that point, he has to get out of the car. And that, in essence, is when your physical body dies and your mind shuts off. The only thing that remains at that point is your soul. So some other people believe that soul will come back again and pick up a new mind and a new body. What I do know is when you hear something that you've never heard before that is so profound, and your first reaction is, that is true. How do you know that is true? Something you've never heard before, but you know it.
You just know.
It's the first time you feel you're hearing it, but you know it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's the experience you've carried on from
That's all I'll say about that.
Last life.
That's what I'll say about that. Because I don't really, but I know that our souls, it's not your first time here.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. It's and that's why you hear there are statements like old souls. That's like you meet like a young kid, and then this kid talks to you, and then you're just like, how old are you again? You know what I mean? But then it's an ability. Let me tell you what it is in terms of creativity and knowledge is the fact that you are judging everything based on knowledge. He's not. He's not. He's judging it based on understanding. And then when he speaks, he might not know the details, but he understands.
Yeah.
He understands.
Yeah.
And it's not a function of what happens to you. It's how you interpret, how you think about, how you experience what happens to you. Let me tell you, the wisest people are people that go to experiences with their eyes wide open. Like, it's not a blur to them. They are conscious of, for instance, now, they'll tell you footballers, they say like the greatest strikers are the guys that have the ability to pause time. When you just see some moments that when some players do something, like you'll be thinking like, how did he have so much time? But you know what it is? It's an understanding of his ability, everybody around him, and what needs to be done. So regardless of who's coming here, he's not worried about you coming here. Because he knows that before you get here, he understands. He's never been in this situation before. This is all new. But he understands the interaction between, using football as an analysis, the defender, his ability, the goalie, and the goalpost. He just knows in that moment, he doesn't need to worry about every single one of those other things. All he needs to do is do him well enough.
That's all that matters.
And that is enough.
And that is enough. Win or lose.
Yeah.
That is enough.
And that is what.
That's the good mentality right there, bro.
That is it. That is it, brother. I tell you. That is it. I can.
And that's what happens when you focus on yourself.
Yeah. I can speak this way. Like I'm telling you, like I've always been this guy. You know what I mean? I've always been this guy for a long time since that phase I told you. I've always been this guy. But at the same time, it's like I've been in phases where I've been forced to dumb it down. Because I'm intense, my guy. Like,
I feel.
You know what I mean?
I know how I can get.
I mean, I'm like, I'm not a physical based guy anymore. I'm not gonna say I haven't been there. There's like people look at me and think like, this guy is probably one of the vainest guys you would ever meet. You know what I mean? All these like the clothes and everything. Yeah. It's just like, how I see it is, okay, the content is good. It's okay for the case to be good.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying, the case must shine because I'm trying to mask the inefficiency of the content.
Yeah.
I've been there before.
Yeah.
But whether the case is good or not, the focus for me is the content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, why not make it a holistic package?
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Have some fun with it. Man, I say it all the time. It's all a show. It's all a game. enjoy it, use it as you wish.
Just be. You
Just
know what I mean? Just
do
be.
your thing, man.
You know what I mean? Like I remember like when
If it bangs, it bangs. If it doesn't,
people
it
used
doesn't.
to like this guy like bro, I'm at home and I'll dress up alone. Like it's not about any like it's not that's what, like and it makes me laugh when people think like I'm like this vain. It's because I do it alone. Self. Like if it's just me going to see me, or I'm not even seeing me. It's just a feeling that I have. It's like if 9 days, like I'm working from home and like 5 days a week I'll dress up like I'm leaving that door. I might not even step foot out of this door, but then there's a frame that I'm in from as long as I'm wearing those work-based like clothes, and then I'll shower and switch again. So so it's not a function of. As they say, dress the way you want to be addressed. For me, I'm thinking about like I don't see all these things in just a physical form. Like when I think about dress, I'm thinking about how is my mind dressed, how is my spirit dressed, because at the same time you're interacting on all these different levels every single time. But one of the worst things that you can do is leave all those interactions to chance.
You gotta be intentional. You gotta be deliberate.
I'm telling you, the thing about being intentional is you have to be bold enough, because the thing about being intentional can come off in so many different ways. You can come off as arrogant. You can come off as cocky. You can come off as manipulative.
As selfish.
It can come off in so many different ways, but that is when you do it from a place of fear.
Yeah.
And it is perceived from a place of fear.
Yeah.
But if it's done from a place of love, chances of it being interpreted from a place of fear becomes slimmer. It's not like it's not possible though. You will do things from a place of love and people will be afraid because it's either too good to be true and they get defensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like your own role is to do it from a place of love.
Yeah.
Whatever endeavor you're doing, if you're doing business, and like me, I'm in marketing communication, and like if I'm going to work with the business, first of all, I want to fall in love with the business first. I want to speak to the owners like, dude, why this business? Why this name? What story are you trying to tell? Let me help you tell the story. But if I can help you tell the story, I need to know the story.
Yeah.
I need to believe the story. And I like, if it's not believable, let's make it believable. And it's not from a believable perspective. Let's actually build on it. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to be giving like some hocus pocus just for the sake of storytelling. Yeah. I want to be able to tell a story that once they buy into, is truth. To deliver on the story as well. Like, I believe in, like writer integrity. Like I write, but there are times that I can't write because I feel like the words, I can get the words, or I can make it look and sound nice. That's not the problem. But I don't believe it right now. And if me writing what I don't believe, deception.
Yeah.
Deception. And I feel like I would rather shut up and say something that I don't believe in, or something that's not true. You know what I mean? I don't like to lie. It's not from a moral perspective per se. Obviously there's that, but for me it's like I don't want to have to think about what I had to say or what I had said. I want to say from. You know what I mean? So so a lot of times like I'll say what it is, how it is, or shut up, because in the situation where I have to say it again, I don't have to think about what I said. I want it to be what it is. Because like it's stressful for me. I can't like, what did I tell this person this time? I have to like,
I get it.
No, too much work. Because my mind is like in so many other places. So that's one direction I don't want to be thinking about. You know what I mean? I just want to be thinking about, what did I say there? I want to just freestyle. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you pick up the phone, you call me today. I'm not too focused about what we spoke about the last time. What I would think about is like, what is the connection I feel with this individual? And every other thing can flow from there. Whether we're talking about moi moi or, you know what I mean? It's not even about what we're talking about now. It's about like what connection that I feel. Yeah. So yeah, man. Brother, talk. Yeah, this can go on. So you could just call it. You could go on.
No, man. Thanks for doing this for me. You know, guys. Before we go, Now let me talk to the audience real quick.
yeah, sorry.
Usually what I do is I like to paint them a picture of what the scene is, because this is a very audio platform.
Yeah, please.
So I am, we're in Jakpo's dining room, on his dining table at his place. It's chilly. I'm pressed to the T, like I have to pee right quick. I want to do this real quick. Anyway, so he's sitting across from me. We got some tea. He's wearing a little hat, a nice shirt, button down, gold chain. He's looking comfortable. It's a floral shirt. A floral shirt. A floral shirt. Yeah. And I'm happy to do this, man. I mean, yeah, you have a lot of depth. I'll give you that, man. And that's what's up, man.
I appreciate that.
Those are the two things that are like most attractive in a person: substance and depth. If you have that, I mean, you would make a phenomenal leader, husband, wife, whatever, or just on your own self, just in your own space.
Yeah.
You can't lose by having those kind of things.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's what's up, and I'm happy to do this, man. And man, it's long. I hope you guys got to the end. I don't know. Anyway, I trust in the quality of the banter, man. I think it was flowing, and you just spoke. I could listen all day, and that's usually I don't talk. I talk in equal measure with my guests, but I just had to listen.
I'm sorry, I spoke too much.
No, man. No, you've been bracing to explode for some time.
Yeah, I've wanted to have a conversation with you. I feel like there's a voice I could lend to your movement that I like. You know what I mean? It's not, this conversation is not a one-time conversation for me. From the first time that I met you and we had a conversation, I'd been seeing some of your stuff before.
Yeah.
I've actually saw you.
Yeah.
So I've just always been just like, okay, I see. It was more from a brand perspective. I think that's the first part of you I saw. Yeah. Your branding, creative side. Yeah. Sort of. And then we had a conversation. I think we're potentially supposed to do business together one time. Yeah. Things didn't like pan out the way, but and like from that conversation, and like I saw you interpreted a brief that you were given. I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's because for me I don't know. I interpret things my own way as well. And like sitting across the room from someone that is doing something in as much as it's like, I won't say like it's exactly in the same direction that I'll go, but it's a nice direction of the same. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That
so
makes sense,
that, because I feel like that's how I feel about religion now as well. It's like, it's not about which religion is better or which one is the real religion or whatnot. I respect every single religious belief. It's like, and I even like take parts of like different ones. Like I'm Christian, but like for Ramadan I fasted and abstained from like booze, and like I just gave myself to it. Because for me it's like, it's, if you think about it, what is the most important thing there? Is it about what is being done for, or what is the effect of actually fasting and being in that space?
Bro,
you know what I mean?
Like the common sense of it.
Of it. Like forget like say it's because, but at the end of the day, that's why I feel it's because we focus too much on the differences. That's why you wouldn't see the benefits. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because even before that, like for Lent, Christians do their own fasting and abstinence as well. Yeah. So that's what that shows is like the both religions understand the importance of this kind of
activity.
Yeah. But then it's like we interpret it and do it for different reasons. The Christians have it based on the mirror of their Messiah, Jesus Christ, that fasted. You know what I mean? Yeah. He fasted. Even like the Muslims understand, they know about Jesus. You know what I mean? They know about Jesus. So their fasting is different as well. Yeah. But at the same time, if you really think about it, in all essence, is in terms of the need to go through these phases to better yourself, which will in turn better the wider environment.
Wow, that's it.
Okpari.
Enough said. Guys, and there you have it. This is Jakpo Ekweku. Did I say that right? My man, it's good to be on the podcast with you.
Yeah, we come with the Rayven.
The Rayven comes.
Yeah, because for me, let me tell you, it's about a message, always about a message for me. Yeah, okay. I feel like I want to be a messenger. I'll just tell you quickly, my full name is Jakpo Mekwe. And it means my life is full of joy or laughter. And I feel that's my message.
That is what's up.
You know what I mean?
That's a noble cause. Your parents finished work with that name.
My granddad, like, I don't know what he did. He looked at me. He looked at me and named me that. And yeah, I'm grateful. You know what I mean? That's why I'm so easy guy.
Bro, you're easy.
I'm telling you, I'm not going to lie. It's not like I'm blowing my trumpet though.
Yeah.
I know, because I know me more than anybody. I'm easy.
Yo, guys, he made me some tea, man. He's got like lemon water, like in a nice jar.
I'm trying to live healthy.
It's fucking amazing. We got like a bowl of fruit here with like tangerines. I haven't seen tangerines in a while.
But I stumbled on this like about a week ago, man, and I've been sold. Trust me.
Tangerines, apples, bananas. We got like a nice little bar here with like drinks. Oh man, no man, we good. Like this is great. Thanks for having me, man.
No, it's been a pleasure, man.
All right,
man. All right, Baba.
And there you have it. This is the Young God.
If you made it to the end of this episode, you're a real one. Thanks again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, there's a whole lot more where that came from. Just scroll down, you'll see all the range of topics, guests, stories, whatever. I've put in some work for you guys. So there's something for everyone. I release episodes every Saturday at midnight. And depending on my mood, I might release 2 or 3. You know, I can be generous like that. So don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you feel so inspired. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And follow the podcast on Instagram at The Young God Pod and Twitter at I Am The Young God for exclusive content. And just, we're in this, man. Thanks again. Rodney Mokache out.